Okay. So, since we talked about last week that you guys are used to doing everything with the box method, we're going to refer back to the box method and do it all that way. That way we're not confusing anything as we go along. So, this is how we multiply polynomials using the box method. All of your steps are on the front. So, step 1 is obviously to draw your box. Okay. If your polynomial has a degree of 1, which that means your x has a degree of 1. So you have something like 2x plus 1. You need to draw 2 boxes. Okay, so it should always be more than the degree of your polynomial. We then write the polynomials on the outside of the box and multiply on the inside. Finally, combine your like terms and finish your answer. So if you open up, we've got 8 lovely examples to do. We're going to start on the left-hand side.
We did this out with Miss. I ain't coming fast because I broke my book bag. You trying to say quick? That's a lot of love real quick. I gotta show Clay love. We got to switch on 30. Already. And I on the same team. Miss Smith. I mean, I say no. Third. It's just like a new plate. The new you. I need a black and white book bag. Oh, hey, that's not. I need a black and red book bag. Huh? That is.
Okay.
That's a specific book bag.
So,
right.
Okay. So, taking a look at each one of these binomials. Binomial means we have 2 terms in each one. Well, 4x is 1 term, -3 is your second term. 2x is your first term, 7 is your second term. Your degree on both of these is 1. You have x. X squared means you have a degree of 2. X cubed means you have a degree of 3, so on and so forth. So, with each one of these having a degree of 1, that means I need 2 boxes on the left, 2 boxes on the top. So, how we go about this? Your first polynomial goes on the side here.
Yeah.
So, we've got 4x and -3. This should all be review. Every last bit of this should be review.
This is like what you call it.
Okay? You can put them on the bottom or on the top. I put mine on the top. So 2x plus 7. Either way works. It does not matter. Okay? So now, this first box right here is 2x and 4x. Well, what's 2 times 4? 8. And what's x times x?
X.
Wait, you said what?
Hold on. Stop. Stop. Hold on. Think. What is x times x? X squared.
So disabled.
Okay. Let's move to the right here. This is where +7 and 4x collide. So 7 and 4, 28. And don't forget your x. Okay. Down here on the bottom left, 2x and -3. -6, good. X. And then finally, this bottom square, -3 and +7. -21. Okay. Take a look inside of your box. Please stop talking. Take a look inside of your box. What is alike inside of there? Your x's. Okay. So your x's are going to go together when we finish this out. So 8x squared combines with nothing. What do I get when I combine these two? What's 28x minus 6x? 22. Good. 22x. And then finally, -21 doesn't combine with anything. There's your final answer.
Oh, yeah, this is repeating.
This should be. Okay, why I'm going back over this. To go from intercept form to standard form, you're going to have to do this. To go from vertex form to standard form, you're going to have to complete this. Okay, so skills do not go away. They just build and build and build.
What is you doing? Fuck it off. What is you doing? Why are you back here playing around, man? You sound mental today.
I'll tell you something. Can't go up.
Okay.
That's my dog.
Your next one says 3x minus 1 times 3x minus 1. So again, one of them down the left-hand side, the other one across the top. CJ, just because you don't have a notebook does not mean you don't get to participate today.
I just said an answer.
Where's your paper?
I ain't got a paper.
Why not?
3x1.
Ain't no purpose of wasting a tree. Right after this class.
Okay. So 3x minus 1 down the left, 3x minus 1 across the top.
Yeah.
When I go to fill in this first square, what's 3x times 3x?
9x squared.
9x squared. Good. So that first box should be 9x squared. Okay. The box to the right, you've got 3x times negative 1. Negative 3x. Good.
I'm good. You got it.
Throw them away, whatever you want to do. But I'm not reprinting any for you. Okay, so we said this was negative 3x. 3x and negative 1, fill in this box. Negative 3x. And negative 1 times negative 1? Positive 1. Okay, again, your x's combine. So my final answer is 9x squared. What do I get when I combine negative 3x and negative 3x? Negative 6. Okay, remember, you start at negative 3 and we're going 3 more in the negative direction, which takes us to negative 6 plus 1. Okay. I want you to take a minute or two and do the next one on your own and see what you can come up with.
Okay.
Listen, I can sit here and rattle off answers all day long, and it's not going to do any good if you don't try it on your own.
Right. Why not? I want to rap. I'm the best rapper of life.
No, man. I think everything. Yeah.
Batteries?
This man, bro.
Who?
How about the batteries? Let's try
Yeah,
to Let's try the batteries. Because you can't just have another calculator. All my calculators are assigned this block.
Go get my pencil bag. No.
Get up.
Ain't no pencils over there.
You dummy, that's not where the pencil is.
CJ, you've already gotten one pencil today. You're not taking any more from me, friend.
You got it. I thought you were singing that. No, I thought this was a mistake.
I know you ain't playing. You ain't got nothing to
Wait,
You do the rest of the puzzle.
something.
I love your stuff, but turn it up, you get what you want.
Why would you say that part of all parts?
Because I thought you out.
Thanks. Google.
Is it 36? If I help you out with song.
What?
I said, I don't see how you out with song.
Because you play.
I'm on.
Appreciate it.
Leave you alone. That's a compliment anyway.
Right.
Okay.
Hashtag free the bro Drake.
Who?
I know I am.
Oh, no.
That's how you feel good at.
Appreciate it. You never heard Jimmy on, bro?
You never
That's my guy. You never heard Jimmy on?
That's my guy.
Bro, never in my life. Like,
Best sound
hey, bro, you lead y'all. In the lead. That's my dog.
That's my dud.
Who said Doug?
DeAndre. That's my little Not your baby could get that dud.
He said, that's my dude.
My little spider.
Yeah, I forgot to wear. Do you need a pencil?
I can't get it.
What happened to your pencil that you borrowed for
I was
class?
looking at him because I had a paper, so I wasn't gonna do nothing. And
So
that's
you
trying
gave it to somebody else?
I gave it to somebody that was doing their work. He's doing his work.
Oh,
So I
CJ.
I can see a boy, it's some Fiji.
Christian,
Yes.
Christian, what should go in this first box here?
Oh, Christian, no, I'm just playing. It's 9x squared.
9x squared, fantastic. Stephon,
Step on.
what goes in this box? Right below 9x.
2x.
Perfect.
What's that negative x?
Careful, you have a -2 here and an X.
I don't see the negative sign.
Bro, it's right there.
It's right here.
Oh, I was looking at the box.
Okay, Caleb, what do we get in this box? The one on the top right.
Negative.
Good. -36x. Marlon, what do we get in this bottom box?
Oh, yeah, -8.
Positive 8. Positive 8.
Positive.
You already got it.
Careful.
Sorry. I did not. I'm sorry.
Guys, the individual conversation means nobody is paying attention as we're going over this.
I just said positive 8. Can we keep it?
So you've got a negative times a negative, which makes this a positive, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so when I finish, I've got 9x squared. What's my middle term?
Minus plus
Negative 38.
Let's go.
All right. X plus
Ooh.
I'm a -38.
Okay, so it seems like our issue right now is combining like terms with negatives.
Oh, shoot, I know. Even I did it.
Okay. Be very cautious. Check yourself on your calculator. It is there for a reason. Okay. Again, your final exam is all calculator based. There is no part of your test that you have no calculator.
Let's go.
Oh,
So use it to your advantage. Okay. This last one on the left, we've got 4x and -5, 3x and -2. So Joseph, when I multiply 4x and 3x, what do I get?
You said 12 8.
Good. 12x squared Okay. TJ, what do I get when I multiply 3x and -5 for this bottom box?
15.
TJ, is your name TJ?
You want me to do my work right? I'm participating, right? Okay.
Okay. When I call on you
This
is when I need you to participate.
High school. Don't call me. It's -15.
Good, TJ. -15x. Dewan, what do we get when we take 4x and -2?
8.
-8x.
10.
And then finally, good, Stefan, this last one's going to be 10. Okay? So now, be careful. When I combine -8x and -15x. -23. Fantastic.
Negative Michael Jordan. Oh my god.
Negative Michael Jordan.
Oh my gosh.
Swish.
The go. Jordan, Mike. Did you say swish?
Yes,
I did. I just said swish.
because that's all Jordan did.
Swish.
It's negative.
You know that ball rolled around the rim.
Okay.
Sicko,
Swish.
Okay. Don't be scared when you see it written like this.
I'm
Oh
scared.
my God.
What does it mean? What does it mean to square something?
2 times.
You take it times itself 2 times. So 2x minus 1 squared is the same thing as 2x minus 1 times 2x minus 1. Okay, that means the same thing. So we're going to have 2x minus 1 down the left, 2x minus 1 across the top.
Let's look. Oh,
Okay.
I thought you said
400 baby.
X.
I hope you love me.
4x squared. Okay. Deja, what do we get when we take 2x times -1 for this box?
Here's the 2x.
Perfect. Okay. So same thing for this box. It's 2x times -1. So -2x. And finally, what do we get when we multiply -1 and -1? +1. Okay. So we've got 4x squared. Ureli, what do we get when we combine -2x and -2x? You're adding them together. So you start at -2 and you need to go -2 from there.
Shut up, she's asking me.
Right.
Okay, CJ, stop. Okay, you start at -2 on your number line. You need to go 2 more in the negative direction. Where does that take me?
I'm trying to do it fast. That's what I mean.
You're going in the negative direction. So -4. Good.
All we gotta do is walk through the classroom.
+1.
Okay.
Guys, like I said, we are taking all week to work on factoring.
I'm about to be the goat in this. Bro. Tell me.
So when y'all walk into Math 3 with Mr. Estrada and y'all start doing rationals, you can be like, listen, I got this.
Who, Mr. Strada?
He's down the hall.
The man. The worst dude.
Okay. 4x
That short dude.
4x plus 2 squared. So again, that means 4x plus 2 times 4x plus 2. So you've got a 4x and 2 down the left and a 4x and a 2 across the top.
Did you talk about that short dude?
That's my little 16.
The short little chubby dude. This one is home.
With the long beard?
Squared.
Or are you talking about the guy with the glasses?
I think the other guy with the glasses.
That's Mr. Zellman. He teaches
I don't
history.
like him.
He teaches history.
I like him.
He was staring at me when I walked out the bathroom.
Good.
Okay,
Good, bro. And then
Mr. Watkins.
Yeah.
What do we get when we take 4x and 4x? 16x squared. Fantastic. What about 4x times 2? 8x. times 2?
8.
And 2 times 2?
4.
Fantastic. So 16x squared.
Plus 16.
Hey.
Plus 4.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's no good 16 right now.
Notice this next one. My first one is no longer a binomial. It's a trinomial with a degree of 2. So I've got 3 boxes. Okay. Again, 1 for each term. So we've got x squared, positive 3x, and minus 5 down the left-hand side. All 3 terms.
Oh my God, what is this?
Who's doing this?
All 3 terms down the left. X squared, positive 3x, and negative 5. Across the top is your second one. So 2x minus 8. Okay. Do not panic just because it's gotten a little bigger.
Deep breaths.
Let me go. Let me go.
So,
No, let me do it. Let me do it.
CJ,
Yes.
what is 2x times x squared?
2x squared.
2x to the third.
Indifferent. Thank you, CJ.
No, it's not. Cube,
Negative x squared.
cube is volume, square is...
Hey,
Right.
hey.
And what you're doing is you have x squared times x. You know that you add those
Oh, you
together,
add the
or you know you
I
have
forgot.
x times x times x. How many x's do you have?
3.
Got 3.
Wow.
Amazing.
Mind blown.
Negative x squared. Negative x
I just
squared.
forgot.
Negative x squared. Mr. Miller.
Okay, so now we've got negative 8
Negative x
times
squared.
x squared.
Negative 8x squared.
Negative 8x squared.
Wow.
Okay, move down. Now I've got 2x
6x
and
squared.
3x.
6x squared. Y'all make me mad.
I've got negative 8 and 3x.
I get 24. Negative 24x squared.
24.
Just x. There is no,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
there's no x with the 8. It's just this x.
Negative Kobe.
Okay.
Negative 10x.
Negative 10x
And 4.
and positive 40.
That's a lot.
Okay, now,
Boy, that's a whole lot
Hold
to
on.
think about.
Hold on. I got you.
Y'all make
Okay.
me mad.
Is there any more x cubed besides this?
Sure.
No, so it goes out by itself.
What?
Okay, now I've got an x squared and an x squared term. So these two are going to go together. You've got negative 8 and positive 6.
It's gonna go in the same.
Negative 2 x squared. Okay, now I've got an x term and an x term. I've got negative 10 and negative 24.
So plus
Negative 34.
Negative 34
Y'all some savages.
plus 40
plus 40.
Plus 40.
plus 65.
Now, see, was that really that bad?
Yeah. Trippy Red said that he didn't like it.
When he came up with 2 songs yesterday.
Okay. Last one on this, and then we're going to start GCF.
Yeah.
Okay. 10x and negative 1 down the left from your binomial. Negative 2x squared,
Plus.
x, and negative 5 from your
Wait a
trinomial.
minute.
Okay. We know.
I wrote it wrong.
Okay?
Can we keep it going? Okay. Negative.
CJ, you can keep it going with your hand. You just keep going. And check your answer against us. It's
Use your
fine.
head. Use your
I
head.
don't need like 34 people comments. Shut up.
Wasn't 34.
Use your
No, it was
Okay.
like probably on the
All right.
Tell them, Junior.
I've got 10x and negative 2x squared.
That's negative 20.
Negative 20,
Square.
x cubed. You've got 2 x's and 1 x. When you smash them together, it's x cubed. Okay? 10x times x.
10x squared. Come on, let's keep going.
10x times negative 5.
But I'm only the first person to ever have number.
Negative 2x squared and negative 1. 2x squared. Good. That becomes positive. Negative 1 times x. Okay. Remember, you can write negative 1 or you can just write negative x. The 1 is just assumed. And finally, negative 1 and negative 5. Positive 5.
Miss Smith, guess what I'm gonna do? Football season, I'm gonna get number 50.
Bro, you copying, bro. Oh my God.
Okay. So I have no x cubes to combine, but I can combine my x squareds. When I put my x squareds together, I get what? 12x squared. Because that's positive 10 and positive 2. My x's, when they go together, I've got negative 50x and negative 1x. Negative 51x. And finally, plus 5. Fantastic. Questions or problems on multiplying?
No. Why am I?
Okay. You can glue this in on page 45 in your notebooks, ladies and gents.
Bro, Kirby had the most fun. No, you believe it.
I'm not saying. I was trying to start out with
Still like start.
I'm trying to find a while LeBron so I can tell her when he's through.
I started my home.
He threw that boy.
LeBron James is one.
Sorry, man.
Who's
sprayed?
Who's sprayed?
Bro, he was LeBron. He was LeBron fan. I ain't messing with you, bro. Why you didn't go to a whole other team? You gonna say God?
I just looked at the back and said, he can drop it. Right.
Okay. The last review piece we're going to do today is factoring out the greatest common factor of a polynomial. So that second piece that you picked up today needs to be folded in half.
You know, we gonna be done.
You guys have around the room to work on
Oh, man.
that practices.
He said, "Oh man, no."
He said, Katie.
That's my
Katie is better than LeBron.
Yes, he is.
He is. He's way.
You know, KD got to retire after he get another ring.
No.
That man 20. He got another ring.
He only got his first one this year.
Right. He said he retired.
Ain't no way.
To do what?
He said to do what?
All them girls on his line.
Okay. The way I was taught to do greatest common factor, and the easiest way that I found out how to do this is what I like to call the upside down birthday cake method.
What?
I know that.
Mom.
I thought it was a tree.
You said that.
If I say something else, I'm gonna say, huh?
Listen, this is the easiest way I found to do it.
I thought it was a tree.
Okay. The tree diagram gets way too complicated and everything gets way out of control. This stays very content and contained.
I want to take cooking.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, all of your steps that we're going to do is on the front side of this paper. So it says first, we're going to write the polynomial under an upside down division sign. Okay.
Yeah.
Do y'all even know what a division sign looks like anymore?
Yeah.
Just checking. Okay. Then we're going to start and find numbers that divide evenly into each coefficient. Gentlemen, can we please stop talking? Not right now when I'm in the middle of teaching something. Okay. We're then going to divide the common factor and keep dividing until we get everything out. Okay. Then we're going to start pulling out variables. So again, all of your steps are here if you ever need to refer back. We've got 4 examples on the inside, and then you guys are going to do an around the room. Okay. So here's your first problem.
Oh, hell no.
Oh, Lord.
Okay. So the first step, I want you to write what I call an upside down division sign. So you're going to actually kind of slightly box that in. Okay, so you're kind of writing an L that extends way out to the right.
That's all you take. I'll drop mine.
Not at all.
Okay, so tell me this. We've got numbers of 18, 15, 3, and 6. What is the biggest number that divides into all four of those numbers?
18, yeah.
18, 3 can be divided by 18.
Hold on, 3.
Well, 3.
The biggest number I can divide into each one of those evenly is a 3. So you pull out the 3, it goes on the left.
Yeah.
It's the way he done this.
Okay. Now we go back and we divide each piece by 3. So what's 18 divided by 3? 6. 6y squared minus.
I have a question.
5.
Why your paper look white?
It's just the light reflecting. What's 15 divided by 3? 5. Y cubed. What's 3 divided by 3? 1. Y. You don't have to write the 1 if you don't want to. And what's 6 divided by 3?
3.
2.
Who's that 3?
It's okay. son.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Now,
Get them, you'll get it.
take a look at this. We now have 6, 5, 1, and 2. Is there anything that divides evenly into all of those besides the number 1?
2.
I would say 2.
Hold on. What is 1 divided by 2? Is that even? No.
So we done.
Okay. So you're done with numbers. The last thing you have to check is variables.
Why?
Do they all, every piece of them, contain a y?
Yes. No.
No. The last one doesn't. So you can't pull out a y. We are finished. This is your final answer.
Yeah.
3 is your greatest common factor.
Yeah.
And 6y squared minus 5y cubed plus y minus 2 is what is left.
These bottom two.
So,
Oh, you might have a heart attack, bro.
Can I use the bathroom?
No. That's a pass, fortune.
Shut up, boy.
guys, can I teach without the comments?
Yes.
You got it. I got
Okay. So when they ask you to factor out the greatest common factor, this is your final answer.
I'm a killer.
All right.
Can we go to the one right beside it? Instead of that one.
Why?
Because we can see that one.
All right.
That's a long equation.
Woo!
Oh no. They don't say XY squared is equal to
I'm gonna show you how to break it down piece by piece, though. I got you. Okay.
the easy one first.
All right. All right. Okay. I've got numbers.
8.
Christian, do I need to move Steve?
Oh,
Because
this
he's
one's
back and now you're
easy.
distracted.
This one easy.
Okay. I've got 32, 16, and 8. What divides evenly into all 3?
4.
We can start. Let's start with 4. You're okay. Let's start with 4.
4, 8.
Okay. So when I divide by 4, what's 32 divided by 4? 8. X to the 4th. What's 16 divided by 4? 4. X cubed plus 8 divided by 4? 2. X squared. That's okay though. If you want to jump and do straight with 8, that's fine. But you can do smaller factors. It just makes your upside down birthday cake
I don't want it big.
longer.
Why are you
Okay.
calling me?
So now we've got 8, 4, and 2. What goes into all 3? A 2. When I divide in a 2, 8 divided by 2 is 4.
4.
4 divided by 2 is 2. And 2 divided by 2 is
3.
okay. So that's it for our numbers. My last one has a coefficient of 1, so we're done. Okay, take a look at your variables. The first one has 4 x's. The second one has 3. The last one has 2. How many do they all share in common?
2.
Careful. Hold on.
Where's the icing on the cake?
Hold on.
Hold on, say it again, say it on the top.
The first one has 4. The second one has 3. The last one has 2.
Oh, they all share 2.
They all share 2 in common. Okay. So this is literally what that looks like if I would write it all out. I can pull 2 out of each section. Okay. So think about it this way. The smallest amount is what you're going to pull out. So I've got 4, 3, and 2. So we're going to pull out an x squared. So out on the left is x squared.
We still going?
Okay. If I have 4 x's and I'm taking away 2, I'm left with 2. So that's x squared. If I start with 3 x's and I take away 2, I'm left with 1. And if I start with 2 x's and I take away 2, I'm left with 0. But don't forget, I have a coefficient of 1. So you're not actually left with the number 0, you're left with a 1.
We done now.
Okay. Do they share any more variables in common?
No.
No, we are finished. Okay, so to get your number that comes out front, we multiply all 3 of these. So 4 times 2 times x squared.
8x squared.
8x squared.
Get big on it.
And then what's in parentheses is what's left at the bottom. So 4x squared minus 2x plus 1.
That's too much. What am I going to use this in the real world? Yeah.
I mean, the only time I'm doing this is because of money. Like this equation problem.
Ain't no way you gonna get this money.
Okay.
If you count money, but you still ain't want to do this.
Let's flip back over to the left-hand
Good
side.
luck, all y'all. I pray all y'all fish. That's what it was.
What you do about
Yeah. Can we do the big number so we can?
Okay.
Y'all should sort them out.
Okay. Okay. Take a look at all of your numbers in front of the variables.
5.
You've got a 45, a 1, a 15, and a 5.
Where's the one that?
Right here,
Oh, 5.
the one that's not written there, there's still a 1 there.
Oh, this is long.
Okay. Do I have a number that divides into 45, 1, 15, and 5?
1.
1.
So we're
That's
done.
it. So we have no numbers to deal with.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Listen though, we're not done. Okay. We have variables. Okay, take a look at this. I've got 3 x's, 1 x, 2 x, 1 x. So how many do they share in common? 1. So we're going to pull out an x. Guys, you can complain all you want. You need to be able to do this in order to pass this class.
And math.
You need to be able to do this to pass Math 3. So you sitting here complaining is not helping the issue, nor is it fixing it. It's not going to go away.
Y'all just got it tough for that.
Okay. So I start with 3 x's. I take away 1. So how many are left? 2. So this is x squared. We did nothing with the y's yet, nothing with the z's yet.
So we just.
Speaking of Z's,
Minus. I have 1x, I'm taking it away. So I'm just left with y squared, z. I have 2 x's, I'm taking 1 away. So 15x, y to the 4th. Minus 5, I have 1x, I'm taking it away. So we have y, z squared. You will lose your entire points on your page in your notebook if it's not done.
Gosh.
Woo!
Jesus. Good God. Why Jesus on my piece?
He's mad.
Okay, we're done with your x's. Let's look at your y's. I've got 2 y's, 2 y's, 4 y's, and 1 y. How many do they share in common? 1. So we pull out 1 y. So this becomes 45x squared. I started with 2. I take away 1. So I'm left with 1y, z to the 3rd. Minus, I started with 2 y's. I take away 1. So we're at y times z. Plus 15. I started with 4. I'm taking away 1. So y to the 3rd. And the last one, I started with 1. I'm taking it away. So we're just left with z squared.
Would you rock a Z squared?
So we did x. We did y. The last thing we need to look at is z.
That's zero too.
I've got 3 z's, 1 z, none, and 2. Do they all share a z in common? No, that third term doesn't have a z. You're done. So your final answer then is x times y out front, and what's left is 45x squared y, z to the 3rd, minus y, z, plus 15x, y to the 3rd, minus 5, z squared. We have one more with me, and then you're going to do this around the room.
Yeah.
When you're finished with that, I will give you your homework.
Oh,
It's a short, sweet puzzle,
Short, sweet.
and that's it.
So like if I touch the paper, it'd be sweet.
I mean, my daughter decided to eat my shopping list while we were shopping this weekend, so apparently paper tastes really good.
Oh my God, no. You need to bring her to school.
I'm not legally allowed to.
Even though I'm
Yes, we do.
we're not gonna tell them.
And I bring your kid to school then?
No, that's not till like April. I will definitely bring her on, bring your child to school.
Bring your parents to school then? So they work. I meant to say parent. I mean, no, kids.
No, it's
Okay.
daughter.
Yeah. No, work.
All right.
It's her work though.
Let's get this last one finished. Okay, I've got 82, 16, and 8. What can they all be divided by?
Don't tell me 3.
3 is not going to work.
Hold on.
It's little.
Well, we definitely, hold up. We definitely know it's a 2. 2 will work. They're all even. So let's start there. So 2. That leaves me with 41, x to the 4th, y to the 2nd, z to the 3rd. Minus 8, x cubed, y to the 7th, z to the 11th. Plus 4, x squared, y to the 9th, z to the 2nd. Because you're only messing with the numbers right now. Everything else just kind of drops down. Okay. All right. 41 is prime. So that means there's no other numbers that go into 41, 8, and 4. That's it. We're done with the numbers. 41 is prime.
So it's in its prime.
Okay. So we need to look at each variable separately. I've got 4 x's, 3 x's, and 2 x's. What's the highest they share in common? 2. So x squared. So that leaves me with 41. I start with 4. I take away 2. We're at x squared. Your y stays the same. Your z stays the same. Minus 8. We had 3. We took away 2. So we have 1. Your y stays the same. Your z stays the same. Plus 4. Well, I'm taking all of these x's, so we're just left with y to the 9th and z to the 2nd. Okay, now we look at your y's. I've got 2 y's, 7 y's, and 9 y's. How many do they share in common? 2. It's always the smallest number you have. So if you have 2, 7, and 9, the smallest amount you have is 2. So that leaves me with 41. My x doesn't change. Both of my y's are disappearing. And we're left with z. Minus 8x. I started with 7. I'm taking away 2. So we've got y to the 5th. Z to the 11th. Plus 4. I start with 9. I'm taking away 2. So it's y to the 7th. Z to the 2nd. We have one last variable to look at, and we are finished.
2.
Good. I've got 3 z's, 11 z's, and 2 z's. 3, 11, and 2, my smallest one is a 2. So we're going to divide out z squared. So 41, my x doesn't change. I had 3. I'm dividing out 2. So I'm left with 1. Minus 8. I started with 11. I'm dividing out 2. So I'm left with 9. Plus 4. I started with 2. I'm dividing out 2. So there's no z's left. So your final answer here then is 2x squared, y squared, z squared is your greatest common factor. Inside your parentheses is 41x squared z minus 8x, y to the 5th, z to the 9th, plus 4y to the 7th.
Can we take a break?
Hey.
It's not hard, it's just long.
Questions? Okay, this clues in on page 46.
Where does sound from?
Does that mean my brain is processing all of this?
Could be.
Or it's trying not to.